everybody, welcome back to the Dough Cooking Show, to the Dough Cooking Stream. If you're watching this live, it is currently June 2nd, 5 p.m. EDT, and I see that we have all of my lovely sous chefs in the chat. Hello to Punish Mage, hello to Trash Can Cat Mom, hello to Tarina Chess, hello to Canadian Panda, hello to Jack as well. Cute shirt, thank you. It's more of a dress than it is a shirt. Also, hello to Pseudo Natural, hello to Shark Dog. It is lovely to have all of you. Welcome on in Robin, welcome on in Kishma9, hello to Ali. Hi. It's good to have all of you. Hope you're all having a really nice day today. Of course, guys, we're no longer on Daramgar, we're now on Daramgar TV. Mythic Dragon, welcome on in, and thank you to Shark Dog for the Prime sub. Thank you. So, it's good to see all of you. Also, hello to Slippy EG. It's good to see all of you guys. Once again, we're beginning the transition into the new channel for Pride Month, I suppose. So we're going to be doing the rating thing into this new channel for the next couple of weeks. But then today, we have a really lovely, comforting meal coming up ahead of us. Also, welcome on into Scrublo and Bike Sexuals. Hi. So, everybody, the basic way that I can explain what we're doing today is essentially a glorified fancier hamburger helper. I'm going to be essentially doing this beef and lamb and cheese pasta dish with some onions. It's going to be really basic. It's going to be really delicious though. And I'll talk to you a little bit about some of my inspirations for today. So the first thing was I had this box of rigatoni. I have about a third of a box left over and I thought, okay, I want to be able to do something with it. And so I've decided on ultimately doing this really delicious cheesy pasta. I didn't want to do anything particularly traditionally Italian, and I wanted to do something with some ground meat in it. I feel like oftentimes when people think of ground meat and pasta, they oftentimes default to something like a bolognese. They either do like a meat sauce, and so I wanted to do something a little bit different today. I wanted to basically do a, almost like a hamburger helper, right? So we have some rigatoni for today, and honestly, any kind of pasta for this would be okay as long as it is short. Because something that's short, it would be able to match the texture of the ground beef itself. So I wouldn't do spaghetti, I wouldn't do fettuccine, I wouldn't do tagliatelle. I would just do something like a rigatoni. If it floats your boat, you could do a bow tie. Elbows would also be really nice. Any just short pasta for something like this would be ideal. So we have some rigatoni, everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and set that behind me. And then, of course, I have some beef and lamb mixture. This is a mixture of both ground lamb and ground beef that I got from my local supermarket, my local Turkish butcher, rather. And if you don't have access to ground lamb, you absolutely don't have to. The reason why I'm including ground lamb for today is just because I want that extra flavor. Ground lamb is a little bit gamey. It has some more oomph to it. It has a little bit more fat, typically, than some beef. So a mixture of some ground lamb and ground beef, everybody. I'll go ahead and set that behind me. And then another inspiration for today was the fact that I have some heavy cream left over. As always, the goal with cooking at home is to use up your existing leftovers. I saw the pasta, I saw that I had the heavy cream, and so the heavy cream is going to be the medium for my cheese to be able to all melt into. So have some heavy cream to go into the sauce as well for today. And then I just have a nice little block of cheddar cheese, everybody. Okay, gonna go ahead and set that behind me. And then alongside this pasta dish, I wanted something vegetal, I wanted something bright, so that we're just not eating a bunch of like really heavy pasta. And so I decided on making basically like a southwestern salad. I have some black beans that I've already prepared ahead of time. We're gonna have some tomatoes going in it. We have some serrano chilies. I have some bell pepper. I have some lime. We're gonna make a chipotle dressing. We also have a bunch of fresh cilantro. So I just wanted a really nice contrast to something like really that like heavy and cheesy. And thus I came up with the salad. So those are the two things that we'll be making today. It's gonna be the pasta dish as well as a southwestern salad. We have a bunch of vegetables to chop. We have a bunch of things to cook. And I guess I have one question for all of you, and that is everybody ready for today? I would love to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, from everybody watching, please and thank you. I'm gonna have a little sip of water before we begin for today. And of course, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Everybody, if you would like to financially support the cooking show, the best way to do so, !Patreon, really nice way to directly support it. My goal is to be able to do this full time one day, and so any and all support there would be really appreciated. And now we have to figure out the order of operations. We have to salt the tomatoes, we have to soak the onion inside of some lime juice, we have to saute some onions, we have to prepare a couple of spices as well for the pasta itself. We have to cook the pasta, make the sauce. So we have a lot to do. Everybody, let's go ahead and begin. For today. So I already have my cutting board all ready to go. And let's begin. So, really quickly, normally I make my black beans live on stream. Normally I do this in front of all of you guys, but today, just to make things flow a little bit easier, I'm not going to do it live. Instead, I'm just going to have them already prepared. Now, my black beans, I think I ended up overcooking them just a little bit, but that's okay. It's still going to be delicious. It's still going to be a lovely black bean salad. So this is something that I do want to talk about always, which is I want to teach you all to get into the habit of making your own beans. Instead of buying canned beans, which is, excessively wasteful and also a little bit more expensive than if you were to buy dried beans, the beauty of making your own beans from scratch is that you get to flavor them as you want, you get to keep all of that bean cooking liquid for something else, and you get to really control the texture of them. In my case, I ended up overcooking mine just a little bit, but less cooking would have been ideal. So I have all of these lovely black beans. We cooked it, we drained it, we rinsed it, and now I just set it on a paper towel to air dry because I don't want it to make the salad soggy. Okay, I love having black bean salads. Also, Mother Organic, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. Hello, hello, hello. But yeah, so typically, I'm never really using canned beans, okay? And ideally, pressure cooker, high pressure, 40 minutes, really, really easy, super simple to do, and everybody should be doing it, okay? So, some black beans all ready to go. I just wanted to get that out of the way. And so let's go ahead and begin doing some of the vegetable prep that we will need for today. Okay, so I'm gonna go grab, let's say, the red onion. We gotta go ahead and soak the red onion in a little bit of lime juice. Let's go ahead and tie up my hair for today. And as always, if anybody has any questions for me at any given moment, please feel free to ask me. My goal is to teach you all how to cook at home, and so it can be about this dish, it can be about something else. And if you'd like to just, find out what we're making specifically, you can always type in ! menu as well. So let's go ahead and tie up my hair for today, okay? And let's begin prepping this red onion. Okay, so here's the thing. Red onion, normally, it's really, really beautiful, but there's a really, really huge consequence with red onion. It is, compared to other kinds of onions, quite pungent. It tends to be quite pungent, and it's not a very pleasant thing to bite into a massive chunk of raw red onion inside of a salad. And so, there's a couple of ways that we can actually mitigate this. The first is making sure that we never have too big of a dice on the red onion. Whenever I'm making a salad, I'm making sure that my onion component is always really, really finely sliced. The second thing that we're going to do to mitigate the pungency of the onion is we're going to be soaking it in some lime juice. The lime juice will naturally be a component present, inside of the salad itself, and so we'll just be making the most out of it. So I'm all gloved up just to protect my hands from eczema, okay? And I'm gonna go ahead and get a nice big bowl all ready to go. And all that we're going to do, everybody, is prep this red onion. So we have the head of the onion, and we also have the root of the onion. The first goal is to decapitate the onion. We have to go ahead and slice its head off, but not the root of it. The root we want to intentionally keep intact because it's going to let us hold onto the onion as we slice it, and I'm going to show you exactly what that means. So let's just go ahead and cut off this head, and now just lengthwise down exactly half of the onion itself, okay? Also, I'm a little bit lightheaded today because I'm still getting over being sick. My sinuses are still a little congested, and if I talk too fast, I can actually physically feel myself getting lightheaded. I'm going to go ahead and peel up the onion for today, and this is a very nice benefit of slicing it in half, right? Which is we just get easy access to peel off all of that onion skin. Off it all goes, off it all goes. Excellent. Okay, and now everybody, once again, you have to really think about the kind of cut that you actually want in your onions. So because of the fact that this is going to be a raw onion going inside of a salad, again, I really want to emphasize that a small dice is essential. It makes it easier to eat. It makes it a little bit less pungent, okay, so that you don't get a big chunk of raw onion. Chef, which pressure cooker is better to get? A stove one or an electric one? So pseudo-natural. The reason why I really like my electric one, the reason why I really like my Instant Pot, is because I'm just able to set it and then go do something else. Whereas on a stove, you have a little bit more control, okay, because you're not fiddling around with the electronic settings, but that means there's a bit more of a learning curve, and it's actually taking up something on your stove, and you can't leave it by itself. So it really depends pseudo-natural. Having a manual, like stovetop pressure cooker, it's good for people that want a lot of control. In my case, because I'm only doing things like black beans and chicken stocks, I don't think it's very necessary for me to get a stovetop one. And I really like just having something I can set aside and put away. So That's my opinion for you. So there is not one that's necessarily better to get. It depends on your needs, pseudo-natural. So red onion, nice sharp knife, of course, because if you don't have a sharp knife, you will cry as you end up crushing your onions. Okay, so to get a nice small dice, everybody, we're holding onto it by the root end, and we're just gonna make a bunch of parallel incisions lengthwise down the onion. Okay, we're stanced up, we're right on top of it, and we're making a bunch of incisions all the way through. Bunch of incisions, until we have obtained the onion fan. Okay, and it's really important that you don't cut all the way through to the root, because again, the goal of it is to hold on to itself. Okay, so we fanned out the onion, and now we're gonna fan it out even more, which is with a horizontal cut. So here's what I'm gonna do, everybody. I'm gonna need to hear a nice yes, chef, please and thank you. I'm gonna take my hand, okay, that I'm not using to cut with. We're gonna set it on top nice and flat, and I'm just gonna adjust the camera here so you guys get a better angle. Okay, we're gonna set it on top nice and flat, and we really wanna make sure that our fingers are pointed up and not down, okay? Because if it's pointed down, we have a chance of cutting ourselves. Also, Allie, this dress was a gift, and I don't actually know where she got it from. Okay, so we're gonna set it down nice and flat. We're gonna make sure that our knife is going in nice and flat, and we're basically going to saw into the onion. Saw into it, and we make a really, really lovely horizontal incision, and we're going to do this 2 more times. Ready? So saw into it, keeping your fingertips all pointed up, everybody. It is essential, and you can already see that the onion is ready to fall apart, and I don't think I can do the last one without compromising the structure of the onion. So we're just gonna go ahead back here, and we're going to go ahead and pursue a nice small dice. And look at these lovely little cubes of onion that we end up obtaining, my friends. Perfect, evenly sized all the way through. Okay, and these little guys just sort of fell off on their own, so I'll be taking care of that. Excellent. There you go. That's what we're looking for, my friends. Beautiful cuts. Okay, really, really nice small dice. And this is not the kind of a thing that you can rush. This is not the kind of a thing that you should rush. If you want to get perfect knife cuts, which you do want for a salad, because you're eating it all raw, you want it all to be nice and evenly sized, okay? Take your time. Speed comes with time. And a lot of the times when you see somebody cutting something really, really fast, they are actually a little bit sloppy with their technique. Okay, so nice and slow all the way through. Also, thank you to Jestilins for the sub. Hope you're having a lovely day today. Thank you, thank you. Okay, and there you go. We got this onion all nicely and beautifully diced. And all I'm gonna use, guys, is my favorite tool, the bench scraper, because it's a really nice way of easily picking things up, okay? Instead of needing to use your knife with a sharp edge and dulling it on a cutting board and potentially hurting yourself, use a bench scraper, nice and flat, one of my favorite kitchen tools that I firmly believe that everybody, and I do mean everybody, should invest in, okay? And I'll go ahead and get that into the bowl, and we'll finish chopping up the rest of this onion, okay? So just once again, gently slice through it. Nice sharp knife, everybody. Will taking speed help with speed? It'll help you focus more. I'm not sure if it'll make you do it faster, though. Granty pants, okay? So there you go. All of that nicely and properly done. We have a bunch of little small cubes of red onion, which is exactly what I wanted for today's salad. Now, the rest of this red onion I'm actually going to be using for the pasta itself, because I feel like I could actually do another quarter onion. I feel like another quarter onion, and then this would be ideal. So we needed some onion for the pasta dish itself, and I don't want too much onion in my salad. I don't want it to become overpowering, okay? So let's go ahead and just take that bad boy and slice him in half. This guy I'm gonna go ahead and set behind me. We'll be using him later on. Okay, and same exact idea, guys. Fan him out, fan him out, fan him out, and we will obtain a beautiful small little dice. Okay, and take it and make an incision all the way through. Okay, and now we will obtain the small dice of all of our dreams. Chef, is there any new anime you're watching? Nope. I finished Madoka recently. That was great. I finished Nichijou recently, and that is hands down maybe the best anime I've ever seen, period. Nichijou is absolutely perfect. But there's nothing else I'm really keeping up with. I'm not very interested in a lot of animes because, truth be told, there's not a lot of good animes out there. Okay, so I'm just making sure I'm cleaning up any big pieces that I've left behind. We will toss away that scrap. And now we will go ahead and get the rest of this red onion into the bowl. And this is the beauty of a bench scraper. It easily cleans up your station. It doesn't leave anything behind, okay? This is a really, really important tool to have. Can we recommend? Only if it's good, Jack. And there's a lot of anime I'm quite critical of, so be cautious. So, sorry to intimidate you, but I do mean it. Okay, so everybody, we have a bunch of small diced red onion, but this still doesn't solve the issue of the fact that our red onions are really, really pungent. So how do we actually mitigate that pungency? Well, we can soak it in something acidic. You can use lemon juice, you can use vinegar, you can use lime juice. And because of the fact that I'm already gonna have lime juice going into my salad dressing today, we're just going to repurpose it. We're going to use that lime juice to soak the onions, and in the process of soaking it, we will eliminate a lot of that pungency. So I have 2 limes, and I think that's all I'm going to really need for today, if not just one, depending on how juicy it is. But because of the fact that I do actually want some extra aroma, we're first going to zest the lime itself. Because in citrus, on oranges, on grapefruits, on lemons, and on limes, the skin itself, the most brightly colored part of the skin, is the most aromatic part. Okay? Also, be good, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. That's very, very sweet of you. So, everybody, I'm using a tool called a microplane. This is an essential kitchen tool. Okay, I use this for Parmesan, and I use this for zesting, and I use it for nutmeg. I think everybody should own a very nice microplane. And so here's what we're going to do. We will hold the lime, and we're going to be pivoting it in our hand to get all of that zest. But we don't want to go into the white part of the lime because it's just bitter and it doesn't have the aroma of the skin itself. So you just want to pass it through once. You just want to pass it through once, pass it through once. And this way, my friends, we are left with all of that delicious aromatic lime zest. It's going to go ahead and make our salad really, really tasty. Okay? And I'm just taking it and zesting it and zesting it and putting it directly in with the onions so that we can marinate it, okay? And I'm looking at that amount of lime zest. Let's go ahead and do the second one as well, everybody. So once again, don't go too much, less is more, okay? If you go in too deep, you're just going to end up with a bunch of like really, really bitter pith. You're gonna get the pith of the citrus itself. So this applies to, of course, lemon and lime and oranges. That is where the majority of the aroma is. And the juice itself, the juice is mostly acidic. The juice doesn't carry that much of the aroma. But the zest, my friends, the zest is where the aroma is. The zest is where all of the flavor is. Also, I'm not really sure how to say that, but welcome on in. Lovely to have you. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. And how'd you find the cooking show? Okay, so we got 2 limes, my friends, and I'm gonna be using, as always, one of my favorite kitchen tools, the citrus press. Okay, and this is a tool that I firmly believe, once again, everybody should own. Because the issue is, when you have eczema like me and you're trying to squeeze out a lime, okay, all of that acidity, really bad for your hands. Second of all, it is exhausting. Citrus, especially limes, they tend to be really hard. I don't have the hand strength to squeeze out a bunch of limes worth of juice. So I would much rather just use a little citrus press. So everybody, we're gonna go ahead and take it flesh side down, take it and press it, okay? Not flesh side up. It's a bit of a misconception that you use it flesh side up. And then we get all of that lime juice, my friends. Absolutely no waste whatsoever, okay? And it makes your job and it makes your life so much easier. So once again, do not do it this way. Do not do it flesh side up. All of the juice is just gonna squirt upwards and then you're gonna have a big mess on your hands. Take it, flip it down, okay? And press it. Press it and get all of that lovely lime juice, guys, and you can just see how much liquid we have obtained. Okay, so I'm looking at that quantity of lime juice, right? I'm looking at that quantity and I'm thinking we can always add more lime juice later on. It's a little bit difficult to take it away though. I don't want my salad to come out too acidic. So guys, we will now marinate these red onions and we will kill their pungency. We are soaking them in all of that beautiful lime juice, okay? So that our salad is not overwhelmingly harsh or pungent. So just take it and mix it around and make sure that all of your onions are more or less covered. And then we're just gonna let this sit, everybody. We're just gonna let this sit until we're ready to use it. So that is an indefinite amount of time. There is not very, like too much time that you can really soak this with. So honestly, as long as it's a minimum of 20 minutes, you can't really over marinate them inside of the acid. So onions, lime zest, lime juice, and I'll just go ahead and have that sit back behind me. And then really quickly, I will be rinsing off my knife because this is a carbon steel knife, and carbon steel ends up rusting if you do leave it wet or exposed to anything acidic for too long. Does anybody have any more questions for me in the meantime? Okay, and I'll just wash that off. Oh, I still feel sick, guys. Oh, a little bit lightheaded. I think my lung capacity for oxygen at the moment is not as good as it should be, but that's okay because we'll get over it. Okay. I'll just go ahead and dry off my knife, and then we have a couple of other things that we need to do. Specifically, we need to go ahead and do the tomatoes. And we'll talk about why we need to do the tomatoes now. We'll talk about salting it. We'll talk about the importance of doing that in advance and all of the implications that come alongside that. So right now, we're just doing the components for the salad today, and then we'll get started on the beef. We'll get started on making the sauce. We'll make the pasta. We'll finish up the salad. And I don't think today's stream is going to take too long at all. Okay? So that is all done. Just making sure my knife is really, really dry. Okay, and now everybody, we will be moving on to doing a couple of tomatoes. And I don't want too many tomatoes inside of my salad today. I don't want it to become really overpoweringly tomato-y. Okay, so I think for this amount of vegetables, for this amount of black beans, I'm only feeling like 2 to 3 tomatoes. Okay, I have some really lovely vine tomatoes, especially because of the fact that it's for a salad. Use the nicest tomatoes that you can afford. Use cherry tomatoes, use vine tomatoes, although I would not recommend using plum tomatoes for a salad. Plum tomatoes don't tend to be as aromatic. Okay, so these are just 2 lovely little vine tomatoes. I'm gonna go ahead and glove on up once again. Okay, so everybody, we have to talk about tomatoes and salads. And I have a lot of problems with them. First of all, when you get a massive chunk of tomato in a salad, people do typically wedges of tomato. You can't get a bite out of anything else. You only have a fork full of tomatoes. I love chopped salads. I love chopped salads where everything is cut roughly to the same exact size, because that way you're able to just spoon it and you're able to get a whole lot of everything that you want all inside of one bite. I do not like salads where you have a bunch of irregular pieces and you have massive chunks of tomato and you try to stab into it and it's a waste of time. Okay, how many times have you gone out and gotten a little side salad with just a big slice of tomato? And how are you supposed to eat it? You're only given a fork, you stab like a slice of tomato cut like this, and you try to put it in your mouth, and it's so inconvenient. So everybody, I love chopped salads, and so should you. So I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please, and thank you. So we have to get rid of the core of the tomato. The core is woody, the core is a little bit too toothsome, the core is a little bit too chewy. Okay? It's just not going to be a pleasant texture inside of your salad. So we just take the tomatoes and we slice them in half lengthwise, just like so. Nice and easy. And I'm also thinking maybe 1 more tomato. Nah, 2 tomatoes is gonna be plenty. Because again, it still is, at the end of the day, a black bean salad. These other vegetables, they're not meant to really steal the show. Okay, so we have all of them sliced in half, and the only thing we need to do now, everybody, is just take it, make 2 diagonal incisions, and cut the cores out of the tomato. Okay, let's do them one by one. And this is especially important if you have a beefsteak tomato. Beefsteak tomatoes or heirloom tomatoes, they have massive, massive, really woody cores. And so the rule of thumb is, the bigger the tomato, the more of a reason you have to be thorough with taking it out. When you have small tomatoes, like grape tomatoes and cherry tomatoes, that is not something you have to be concerned with in the slightest. Okay, and so we'll be cutting them to the same exact size as my onions, which is going to be us pursuing a really, really nice small dice. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin that now. And the first thing that we will need to do, everybody, is just to go ahead and cut this into some nice thin slices. Well, not too thin, but thin enough that we'll just be able to stack it up and cut it up. Okay, so all the way through, everybody. And as always, for tomatoes, you do not chop it. Okay, here's the difference. This is a chop, and you guys can see how much it's pressing on the tomato. We slice it. We slice it. We use the full length of the knife with minimal vertical force. Tomatoes are soft. Tomatoes are delicate. Tomatoes are squishy. We will destroy the flesh if we try to chop it. And that is the difference, and that is the biggest difference between a slice and a chop, my friends. So we slice it, and slice it, and slice it, and slice it until we have obtained a bunch of beautiful tomato slices, okay? It is imperative that we do this. Slice it, and slice it, and slice it. Awesome. And this one's gonna be a little snack. Ha. That's not a bad tomato. especially for this time of year. Okay, just take it and slice it, and slice it, and slice it, and slice it, until we have obtained, of course, a bunch of beautifully sliced tomatoes. Chef, is it okay for me to say that the top looks really cute on you? That's completely okay. Thank you, Chill Wizard. I want to wear nicer clothes on stream. I'm tired of just doing the t-shirts all the time, and so I want to wear something a little bit prettier. So thank you for noticing. Do we salt the tomato now or later? Well, Jack, we'll be salting it now, once we're done chopping it, of course. Okay, and we'll talk about the importance of that in just a second. Also, thank you so much to, let me see the pop-up, Talent1 for the Prime sub. Thank you, thank you. So everybody, we're gonna take a stack of tomatoes and gently slice it into batons. Also, Shai Chica, it's lovely to have you. Also, Shai Chica, tell me how the stream is now. I changed the resolution to 720. So the stream quality should be a little bit lower now, but all of you guys should be able to just see the stream a little bit smoother than before, okay? So now that we've cut this into batons, we just take it and we get a delicate, fine dice. No glitching, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. Thank you, Trash Can Cat Mom. Okay, come take a look. We have now obtained really, really beautiful small diced tomatoes, my friends. And in fact, I might not actually use that chef's knife because it's a little bit too big. It's a little too clunky for this task. Okay, so I'm gonna use my petty knife instead. So it's really, really nice to have a knife that is suited for the thing that you're using. Also, Talent1, you mentioned that. I think I didn't turn off the sub goal feature on Twitch yet. I don't like sub goals. I don't like incentivizing people to subscribe and like, oh, we have to do this. Because of the fact that this is a new channel, I haven't taken that off yet. So I'm sorry about keeping that on. I'm kind of almost like morally opposed to sub goals because I just want people to sub because they want to give me money. I don't want people to sub because they're getting something out of it or that I'm incentivizing them to do so. You know, I would like the only incentive to exist would be people want to support me. So guys, nice sharp little baby petty knife. And this is why you need a knife that is suited to your task. A big clunky chef's knife for something so delicate, you have too much surface area, it's a little bit overkill. So, oh no, we have to do it. But you know what I mean, Audio Murphy, right? You know what I mean. I really just want people to give me money only because they want to, right? I don't want it to be like, oh, if I get enough subs, then we will unlock me drinking barbecue sauce straight from a bottle, right? That is not what I want to be. I want to teach you guys how to cook and not have to do anything embarrassing with myself. So, just take it and keep on cubing up. And also, look, I understand why other streamers go through a sub goal, but my first goal is not to make money from doing this. My first goal is to be able to try and teach people how to cook at home, right? And so, if I want to do something on the show, I'm not going to ask specifically for a sub incentive to be able to justify that task. I'm just going to go ahead and figure out how I can do that thing. You know what I mean? Unless it was something that specifically needed funding, which I wouldn't use Twitch subs to be able to fund that. Okay? So, all of these tomatoes, my friends, every single one of them, nicely and delicately and beautifully getting chopped up for today's salad. And I'm being very, very gentle about this. Also, Kelly Loon, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Thank you for lurking. Thank you for stopping by. I'm doing quite well, and happy Pride. That's right. It's my month to shine. I have come out of my shell, and I am now wearing a dress for the first time on stream. I don't think I've actually worn a dress on stream before. Have I? Yeah, no, I don't think so. Okay? And take it and dice it. And dice it and dice it. There you go. Oh, okay, yeah, actually, I think my petty knife might be a little bit too dull. It is in need of some sharpening sometime soon. I put on a plastic knife case on it, and I think that was a really, really big mistake. Okay? The plastic knife case itself, it really, really dulls the knives. I really want to try and invest in and find a knife case that like isn't made out of plastic or isn't made out of a hard wood. I'm curious like what my other like chef friends do. I want to ask Yuki. Yuki sometimes stops by, and I bet she has an amazing answer for this. Okay, so we're going through it, everybody. We're chopping up all these tomatoes. We're being gentle. We're being delicate. Okay, we're getting it all done. Right, there you go. And continue dicing. Get it all done, my friends. And being nice and slow with this is essential. I don't want to destroy my tomatoes. Have fun with it, everybody. Okay? So this is a concept that I really, really like talking about that I haven't actually gone to talk about in a while. A lot of people they view certain kitchen tasks as a chore, or they view cooking as a chore. Is there anybody here that has previously viewed things like chopping vegetables as annoying and tedious? Is there anybody here who feels that way? Because I have a couple of solutions for you in mind. Okay, here's the thing. A lot of people, they view chopping vegetables as work, and the thing that they really like is sautéing. Okay, this is how a lot of home cooks actually think of this. They think of this as something to get done. But let me tell you something right now, guys. The beauty of chopping comes from having really, really nice tools, nice sharp knives, making sure you're not overcrowding your cutting board, and going at a pace that is comfortable without a time limit. I promise you, you can view this almost as ritualistic. It can become very pleasant, and you can get lost in the technique itself, okay? And that is the beauty of cooking, and that is the beauty of chopping, and that is the beauty of doing vegetable prep. Also, Liam, thank you so much for the gifted sub. That is very sweet of you. Guys, have fun with it. You have to identify what is tedious, and you have to identify what is annoying. Okay, oftentimes people have dull knives, and that becomes a chore, because when it's a dull knife, you have to use more force, and the vegetable keeps slipping out of your hands, and it just becomes a mess. So we don't use dull knives, we use a nice sharp knife, and we go nice and slow. And that way, my friends, I promise you, you'll be able to enjoy it. You'll be able to enjoy it and have a lot of fun. You keep your knives in a bamboo holder. So bamboo does tend to actually be a little bit rough as well. Robin, I think what I would look into, I want to look up if there's silicone knife cases. Okay, finding a nice silicone knife case just to put on your knives before they go in the knife roll, I think that would be ideal, because the silicone would be soft enough to not damage it, and then it would still protect it from the drawer. But the thing that you don't want to do, guys, don't raw dog your knives in a drawer. Please, get a knife rack, get a knife case, get a knife roller, okay? But please do not just put knives straight up raw metal inside of your drawer. Not only is it a hazard, but it damages the knives over time, okay? It damages your knives. It's just not good for them. Please, please, please do not do it. Okay, I'm just trying off my knife just to make sure it's good. Are knife blocks okay? So, Daddy, in that case, honestly, people say that they're okay, but I feel like every time that you're like putting in a knife into a knife block, you're always dragging it out directly against the wood. Right? So as long as you're being gentle and delicate, it should be fine. I just actually feel like that knife blocks are also not particularly optimal either. Knife blocks are really nice because they're very like accessible and you get to easily pull things out. Okay, I have all of my chopped tomatoes, guys. And once again, we'll be going ahead and transferring it over to a little bowl. And now comes the most important part of tomatoes for salads, guys. Okay? I don't want a soggy salad. You can really, really easily obtain a soggy salad by including tomatoes, because tomatoes are absolutely saturated to the brim with water. But that doesn't mean that we have to just have it be this way. Okay? Guys, if it is a chopped salad that you are planning to keep in your fridge, the number one piece of advice that I will always give is salt your tomatoes. Salt your tomatoes. Okay, and that will pull out all of the excess moisture from said tomatoes. It will help to make sure that it's nicely and evenly seasoned, but the salt being hydrophilic, it will pull out the excess liquid, and then we'll end up straining it out. And that way, my friends, that way we will obtain beautiful tomatoes that are nice and firm, and we won't have a salad that is soggy. So gently toss the tomatoes with the salt. Make sure that they're all nice and covered. And I mean really, really gently. We don't want to crush them. And you can already see the amount of tomato liquid that is coming out of them. So guys, you want to leave them 20 to 30 to 40 minutes or so. Okay? And that way, we'll pull out all of that excess liquid and we will get a bunch of lovely tomatoes. Also, Audio Murphy. Is that a $200 donation? Jesus Christ. Thank you so much. That's very generous of you. That's really, really sweet of you. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Audio Murphy. Whoa. Damn, between last stream and this one, I'm eating. I'm doing pretty good for myself. Thank you. That's very, very kind of you. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and wipe off my cutting board. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that it's nice and dry. That sweet metal slime, that's right. I'm gonna change the dono notif at some point to something a little bit more professional, because I used to really love Dragon Quest. I don't love Dragon Quest that much anymore. And I just want something that's like a little bit more sleek. Right? But in the meantime, thank you. That's very kind of you. Okay, so everybody, what have we done? We've only accomplished 2 tasks so far. We chopped up my onion and we're soaking it with lime juice. Okay? And then we also have some tomatoes. Also, mods, Can we please get a nice little band in place, please? And thank you. Okay, so lime juice and lime zest on top of my red onions. While we're marinating it in the lime juice, it's so that we can kill all of that pungency. And then of course, we have a bunch of tomatoes. Okay, we're salting it so that we can pull out the excess liquid. So what else do we need to go ahead and get done for today? We need to shred the cheese. We need to begin, actually properly browning the meat itself. We have to begin making the sauce for today. We still have quite a bit of work coming up on ahead of us. So let's go ahead and slice up the rest of the onion that we are going to need, my friends. Okay, I have this quarter red onion from before, and then we'll also pull out another onion. And this is all just going to be for the sake of flavoring the sauce, right? We want it to melt in, we want it to contribute to all of its allium-y goodness. And this is the beauty, guys, of alliums. They're all interchangeable. You can mix them around and you can have fun with it. The reason why I'm mixing a red onion with just this plain yellow onion is just because of the fact that I already have it. Okay, so we can mix it and we can have fun with it. So everybody, for the beef itself, I'm going to be looking for also a bit of a small dice. Okay, small dice, make a bunch of incisions, roll it around, small dice. Okay, we make those incisions and then we just go ahead and chop it up. And all of these onions, guys, they're going to caramelize and they're going to melt down and they're going to get really, really delicious for us today. Okay, so there you go. We can go ahead and just set this aside. I'm gonna need a different container for it, the likes of which I don't actually know where I should put it quite yet. I think I should do it on this one. Okay, excellent. Yeah, I think that should be good. And let's go ahead and take this red onion, everybody, scoop it up and put it onto the plate. And let's go ahead and do the same exact thing with this one. Everybody, the root of the onion is here. When the head of the onion is here, we go ahead and decapitate the onion. We cut off the head. We go ahead and get rid of those little guys. We take it and we slice it down lengthwise, just like this, and we peel up the onion. Same exact deal as before, same exact kind of knife cut as before, okay? This is a small onion, and that is perfect because I don't need too many onions for my pasta today. But yeah, ultimately, this is a bit of a riff on a Hamburger Helper. This is basically like a cheeseburger pasta. It's onions and it's beef and it's cream and it's cheddar cheese. And then we're going to make a very light spice mix, I think, with some granulated onion. I don't actually know if I have any granulated onion, but we'll find out. We'll see what we have. Okay, let's take it, guys, and we will make incisions. Incisions, 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 all the way through. Fan them out. Do the same exact thing with this one. Fan them out, fan them out, fan them out, fan them out. Just like so. Okay, this onion is so small that we don't need to do the horizontal ones. Explaining this meal to an American, imagine a cheeseburger, but that's really what it is. It's like a cheeseburger Hamburger Helper, you know? Also, the word burger for me is really difficult. I hate saying it. I'm so sick of saying it, okay? So slice it up, my friends. Obtain that nice small dice. And because of the fact that this onion is also going to cook down, this knife cut does not need to be 100% perfect, okay? It's all going to cook down. It's all going to get nice and soft and properly sauteed. There you go. And then last but not least, this little guy right here, my friends. Oh, it's already been made into incisions. So just cut it up. Cut it up, cut it up, cut it up. There we go. Excellent. Okay, and so everybody, I do believe we can actually begin sautéing food today. We can begin cooking up the beef. We can begin cooking up the onions. And so we'll do that in just a second. Chef, is there any dish that you can make with parsnips and beetroot besides a soup? You can do roasted parsnips and beet. Okay, that's always really delicious to do, Jack. That's what I'd really recommend that you do. Okay, so everybody, let's go ahead and let's talk about my meat really quickly, okay? And when I say my meat, I mean this ground beef and ground lamb mixture. Okay, this is what I'm going to be using for today. If you don't have access to ground lamb, then you can just use ground beef or whatever ground meat that you would like. But we need to talk about how to properly treat it. Did my eyes change? What do you mean my eyes change? I don't know what you ask me, Styles. Okay, so we have some ground beef and we have some ground lamb. Okay, this is something that people mess up all the time. Okay, I'm going to need everybody's full attention for this, and I need to hear the nice resounding yes, chef. And I have a question for all of you, okay? I have a question for everybody watching right now. How many times have you seen a recipe or a video where they say, oh, brown your ground beef, okay? And then they say, oh, when it releases its fat, we'll strain out the fat. The beef, as soon as it goes on, it's in a pool of its own liquid. It's in a pool of its own liquid. It fills up with brown liquid inside of the pan, and then they say to strain out the fat. How many times have you seen that? And I'm gonna tell you guys something right now. I'm gonna tell you something that infuriates me, okay? Because the liquid that comes out of ground beef isn't actually fat. You would know it was fat if it was golden and it was clear and the meat was sizzling and bubbling. But it's not. The liquid that comes out is purely the intramuscular liquid of the beef itself. And when they say, oh, strain out the fat, you're actually just straining out all of the juices from the beef itself. The fat takes time to melt out properly. The juices come out typically before the fat does. So anytime you see a recipe or a dish or somebody saying strain out the fat, they have no idea what they're talking about and discredit them. Discredit them immediately. Oh, this is how you make taco meat. Brown the ground beef and you strain out the fat. Or cook the onions in the beef fat. Guys, it's not actually fat. The juices that pool up are just that. They're juices. That's the moisture from the beef coming out. The beef doesn't actually brown. The beef doesn't get crispy. The beef doesn't caramelize. The beef doesn't saute when its own juices are present. So we have to first evaporate those juices. We have to make sure that the pan isn't overcrowded. And that, my friends, is why we are using a really, really nice, big, beautiful stainless steel pan. Okay, I'm gonna have a sip of water and we're going to talk about this because this is important. Stainless steel and not nonstick. I'm gonna say this again. Stainless steel and not nonstick. Everybody, there are almost so few case uses when you actually need a nonstick pan. Nonstick pans are good for low temperature cooking when you don't want something to stick. Nonstick pans, because of the fact that they're made with super thin, cheap, crappy aluminum, and because of the coating that they have on it, they cannot be brought up to a high heat, and when you add something to it, it cools down the pan immediately. People did not learn how to use stainless steel because people never really understood it. And so what happens is you have a bunch of adults, right? They're no longer 18, they're living out on their own or something, okay? And they need to cook for themselves. And they go, wow, everything sticks to this pan. And then they get sold non-stick cookware. This is a constant trend of new adults in this day and age. Everybody, I am going to teach you how to master any type of cookware. Stainless steel, carbon steel, cast iron, all of them. Because you can do it. You don't have to be a professional chef to know how to properly use a stainless steel pan. And so Emeril Lagasse, that's great Styles Ace. You know why? Because that's a TV chef. That is a TV chef that didn't exactly always know what he was talking about. So, confide in me. Put some trust into me and I will lead the way, everybody, okay? So, stainless steel pan. We need to make sure that our pan is nice and wide. Why do we want a nice wide pan? Because we want a lot of surface area. If our pan is too small, all of the beef is just gonna pool up, it's not gonna be in contact with the bottom, and all of the water is not going to evaporate properly. So everybody, nice wide pan, and we'll begin heating it up on a medium heat. And this is part of me teaching you all how to understand stainless steel cookware. Okay? So, number one rule. We never use a high heat. And I'm going to say this again and again and again. We never use a high heat. Why? If you use a high heat, you'll develop hot spots and you'll develop cool spots. So here's a lot of people. This is what they do. This is what they do in the world of TikTok content. They say, stainless steel pan, take it, blast it on a high heat, splash some water on it, and that's how you know it's good to go. Absolutely nonsense. If the water is sizzling on it and it's dancing, that doesn't actually mean that you have an evenly heated pan. Some parts of it might be hot enough, but other parts are not. Everybody, the key to a beautifully evenly heated pan that food won't stick to is to heat it slowly. Medium, low heat, everybody. Medium, low heat every single day of the week. And so, my initial fat, my initial lubrication, even though we'll be cooking all of the fat out of the meat, okay, is going to be a mixture of some ghee and some oil. I have some ghee, so let's go ahead and use it. Ghee is a clarified butter, and then we'll just be using a bit of a peanut oil just as a nice neutral oil. So what's my take on cast iron style Zeiss? I mean, it's great. It's a little bit tricky. It's not for everybody, but it absolutely has its place in the kitchen. I don't actually own any pure cast iron. I only have enameled cast iron. Because when I move, that's when I'll invest in a couple. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get a little bit of ghee out, okay? Just because we have it, just because clarified butter is so delicious. So I'm gonna add it in, and everybody, low, medium heat. Next, we have to think about the kind of fat that we're using. I don't want you to use olive oil because it burns easily. I don't want you to use butter because it's also burns easily. Okay, clarified butter has all of the solids and all the water cooked out of it, so it's more suitable to be cooking with at higher temperatures. Also, did I just get asked about Adam Ragusa? So, pseudo-natural. I don't love Adam Ragusa. I do not love Adam Ragusa. I like some of his videos where he goes out and he interviews people, but I think what he does to people is he treats cooking as a bit of a chore. Okay, he treats cooking as something that like, you're a home chef, you don't have to worry about these things, we can rush through everything, we can make a big mess, these techniques don't matter. And I don't really like that approach to food. The way that he treats and talks about cooking is the only joy of it is the eating part. He wants to rush through everything else in the least amount of effort possible. And what I really want to teach you guys instead, I'm philosophically opposed to that. I want to teach you guys how to enjoy cooking at home. I want to show you how amazing and wonderful and creatively pleasing it can be. And I feel like he's not doing that. Instead, he's just teaching you how to make decent tasting food. So that is my opinion on Adam Ragusa pseudo-natural. That is the effect that I feel like he leaves on people with his style of cooking content. Okay, and then as for the neutral oil that we're using, you can use vegetable oil, we can use canola oil, something like that. I'm just using some peanut oil because that is what I already have. And so we want to make sure that we have a nicely lubricated pan, my friends, because a nicely lubricated pan will make sure that we're evenly conducting the heat across the meat itself. Okay, just like that, lovely. Who are we dragging? Oh, we were dragging Adam Ragusa for a second. And not so much dragging as we were just delivering really, really good criticism, I feel like. Okay? So, I have just under like a pound of ground meat here. I'm thinking about how much I actually want to end up using. The only thing I want to do with it though, beforehand, is I just want to crumble it up in my hands. And we'll talk about why in a second. So, everybody, this is actually a really, really important ground meat tip. Okay? I have a really, really nice little bit of advice for you. So, how many times have you decided to cook some ground meat, no matter what it is, and then you put it in there and you put it into the pan and you're immediately trying to break it up? You're immediately trying to break it up and it's sticking because the meat didn't naturally unstick itself from the pan yet. Guys, save yourself of all that effort. Here's what I'm going to do instead. Okay? I'm going to show you. We're going to take some gloves and we're going to break up the meat a little bit beforehand. This way, once the meat actually goes on, also sweetness and light, thank you so much for the bits. Once the meat does go onto the pan, we don't have to worry about smushing it too much. When we put the beef down, guys, the more that we move it around, the more of its juices that we're actively releasing, the more difficult it is going to be for it to properly brown. So, the best time to crumble the beef is when it is cold, and when it is still not on the heat source. Okay, so doing this beforehand, everybody, I'm telling you right now, game changer, really, really saves your life. Okay, take it and just grind it up a little bit, break it up a little bit. Just break it up, break it up, break it up, break it up, guys. Break it up into little itty bitty pieces. And doing this now will save you so much effort once you actually get onto the stove. Okay, so break it up, break it up, break it up. Do this now, everybody. Crumble it in your hands, and I promise you, your beef is not going to leach out a lot of liquid. So, ground beef fundamentals. It's actually a little bit trickier than you would think. Break it up before it goes onto the pan itself. Never ever use something like non-stick because it just cannot have the heat output that you are looking for. Make sure that the pan is well lubricated and time is going to be your best friend. And I'm going to show you exactly why we need to give all of this beef a lot of time and love and care and affection. Okay? So, take it, Continue to break it up, and we're just looking for just like no massive chunks left over. Once it's a little bit warm, it tends to get a little bit mushier, the fat starts to run out, so breaking it up when it is cold is actually the easiest thing that you can do. The same exact theory, by the way, does apply to fried rice. I always break up my rice before it actually goes onto the pan so that it doesn't immediately stick, okay? So, also, Sweetness and Light, thank you for stopping by. It's lovely to have you. So, almost done breaking it up, my friends. Just a couple of big pieces that I still wanted to just take care of. Okay, and it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. We're still going to break it up more in the pan. Okay, so my fat is slowly heating up, guys. And that is, once again, key. Do I have any general rules of when to use cast iron, non-stick, carbon steel, etc.? Yes. So, non-stick is for low temperature cooking when you have something that's a little bit sticky. I like to use my non-stick purely for eggs and for grains. Things like rice, things like, lentils, just because it doesn't crust up as much on the sides. When do we use cast iron? Cast iron and carbon steel, I would say their uses are quite interchangeable. The difference is carbon steel is a little bit lighter, so you get to toss and saute it. But otherwise, cast iron and carbon steel, high temperature cooking as long as it's nothing acidic and it's nothing too wet. So, everybody, my pan has been slowly but surely heating up. The oil isn't even smoking yet. Super important. Are there any good cooking YouTubers you like? Yes, Jack. We talk about it all the time. I love Chinese Cooking Demystified. I always keep up with their videos. I always keep up with Internet Shaquille as well. Chinese Cooking Demystified and Internet Shaquille, they make excellent content with a lot of integrity, okay? I'm also looking at this amount of meat, and I'm kind of wondering if I do want to use all of it. I don't know if I will use all of it. The only thing I'm really worried about is overcrowding the pan. But if it does happen, we'll talk about the exact solution to it, okay? So we have nothing to worry about, my friends. My fat is just continuing to slowly but surely melt all the way down and slowly getting it hot. Again, you can get up to a nice high temperature without using a high heat. Low, medium heat, everybody, and you will get there. Okay, it's not a race. Be nice and patient, and nothing is going to end up sticking. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure that I have everything ready to go for this. Then I'm going to have like a nice wooden spoon all ready to go as well. And so the order of operations is like this. We're going to properly fry this meat. We're going to render out all of the fat. And then we're going to cook the onions, we're going to cook some chilies, and we're going to cook some garlic, and all of that delicious rendered beef fat, my friends. Okay? And then we're going to be building a sauce, adding in some cream, okay, grating in some cheese, and we're going to keep it, the flavors are going to be really simple, but it's all ultimately going to be super delicious. And while all of that is cooking, we'll also be working on the rest of the salad components in the meantime. So, my pan is just about there. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at it. We don't need this oil to be smoking hot, everybody, okay? Because again, this is just going to be a process with a little bit of time. So yeah, just waiting for this to heat on up. What am I looking for? I'm looking for very slight wisps of smoke. Depending on the smoke point of your oil, it'll happen sooner or later. If you're using a high smoke point oil, something like canola oil, vegetable oil, etc., it'll of course happen a little bit faster, okay? And I'll wash my hands just because I was handling the beef a little bit, in case I've had any punctures in my glove whatsoever. Okay, everybody, I'm going to say one more minute of heating up more, and then my pan is going to be all ready to go for my purposes today. We're looking for the oil to slightly shimmer, and we're looking for some very slight wisps of smoke. So, when we do go on with the beef onto the pan, really important, everybody, we don't break it up immediately. And I'm going to explain to you why. The proteins need a little bit of time to naturally unstick themselves, roughly 30 seconds or so. If you put your meat onto the pan, what the hell was that? Guys, I am hearing sounds and noises. Maybe it was like a little bit of water that just got stuck somewhere. I have no idea what that was. Did you hear that? That was crazy. I have truly no idea what that was just now. What is going on? What? Is there just something that is like landing into the fire itself? Like my stove isn't the cleanest. It's fine. Nothing is exploding. Okay, it's all fine. It's all okay. Okay, so everybody, once the beef goes onto the pan, once my ground meat goes onto the pan, it is essential that we don't mix it immediately because the meat naturally needs to unstick itself. If you put it on, guys, it's the same idea with a fried egg. If you take your protein, your sticky wet protein, and you put it directly onto a hot pan, you mix it immediately, it's gonna smush, it's gonna stick, and it's gonna burn. Be patient, everybody. Be patient, okay? So, my pan is just about heated up in a second or so. I'm still a little bit concerned about what the origin of all of that noise was, but I don't care. I think it'll be more than okay. Okay? And there might be a little bit too much fat. If there's too much fat, we can always go ahead and take some out. Yeah. Okay, I got a little scared. I got a little bit unnerved for a second there, but I'm pretty sure everything should now just kind of be okay. Okay? And we want to start out with a super, super hot pan. We want the meat itself to form that crust. We want it to get nice and browned, my friends. I want it to get really, really nice and crispy. I don't want bland ground meat. So, the thing that people mess up all the time, they say, oh, strain out the fat of the beef. And their pan was on a too low of a heat. And the beef released all of its liquid, and they strain out all the juices, but the beef itself is not properly browned. People don't actually know what it really means to properly brown their beef because all of these cooking shows and so much cooking content out there and so many recipes just say brown it for 5 minutes, break it up, and it will be perfect. So that's enough talking. Everybody, let's begin the process. Let's go ahead and just gently lower it in, gently break it up as it goes down, and don't mix it. Do not mix it for another 30 seconds or so. Okay? All I'm doing is I'm just slightly adjusting it, just to make sure that it's all nice and flat. There you go. And give it about 30 seconds, everybody. So I know that it's beginning to congeal. I know it's beginning to form a bit of a lump. But I promise you, it will not stick if you don't move it around immediately. Can I please get a yes, chef? Okay? So we give it a second. We let it do its thing. We slowly heat it up the pan so we absolutely know for certain that we have no cold spots whatsoever. Okay? And now, my friends, come take a look. We can go ahead, on a stainless steel pan, nonetheless, absolutely no sticking whatsoever. We're basically just flipping. Guys, look, the beef isn't sticking at all. Not in the slightest, not even a little bit. That is the magic of this, okay? Look at it. There we go, my friends. And now we want to just go ahead and break up any really, really massive chunks at this stage. You don't want to wait too long because then you're just going to release a bunch of liquid. But right now is going to be the time to do it. There we go, everybody. Nothing is sticking. Nothing is burning. You can do this too. We're not using a non-stick pan, and yet nothing is sticking whatsoever. So everybody, I want you to pay attention to the sound. You can hear that the sizzle is disappearing. Why is the sizzle disappearing? The sizzle is disappearing because the beef has started to release its liquid. When you have a bunch of very, very small pieces of meat, they tense up super quickly, they cook up really, really fast, right? As is the case with ground meat, and then it releases its water. So everybody, the real trick here is let it cook. This is the stage where people say, oh, strain out all of that beef fat. You don't want any fat in your dish. No, my friends, these are the juices of evaporating. We've collapsed the beef itself, and it's now releasing its liquid. Also, Mallory, thank you so much for the sub. Thank you, thank you. Chef, about pans. Are ceramic coated pans worth it? Only for the glass ceramic that is on, like, for example, a ceramic Dutch oven. Otherwise, ceramic non-stick, absolute mistake. Overpriced for what they are, and the coating doesn't last a very long time. I don't like ceramic non-stick as a non-stick tool, but I don't really use my enamel-coated Dutch oven, right, my ceramic enamel-coated Dutch oven as a non-stick pan. So I'm going to say, no, they're not worth it. They don't have a lot of longevity to it, and I just prefer Teflon. So guys, come take a look. Look at the beef. The beef is beginning to release its liquid, and all I'm doing is I'm chopping up any massive, massive chunks. It's okay for there to be some little chunks. That's more than okay. Just nothing too big. And now, everybody, we need to let it cook. We needed to let it do its own thing, and we're also just going to go ahead and season it with salt. Do not rush this process. We gotta melt the fat, evaporate the liquid, and we're gonna get all of that fond inside of the pan, my friends. So big, 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 generous quantity of some kosher salt going directly inside. Okay? just to make sure that everything is staying nice and seasoned throughout the process. And you can see that the beef is beginning to release some of its own fat. The only thing that we want to keep in mind of is just make sure that there's nothing really sticking too much to the sides of the pan. And there we go, my friends. That is beginning to get through. Chef, I bought new wooden tools for the kitchen, but they have a polish on them, not like normal wooden tools. Should I worry? I don't know what you mean, Jack. I'm not really sure what you mean they have a polish on it. Okay. Nothing is sticking, guys. Everything is perfect. It's all going to get there. So let's go ahead and continue some of the vegetable prep that we need for today. I wanted this sauce for the pasta itself. I wanted to be a little bit spicy. And so, for exactly said purpose, I have a little bit of a serrano chili here. Okay, and we're going to be including its seeds and all. Right, I'm just going to go ahead and take it, slice it right down the middle. Oh, come on, buddy. Slice it right down the middle. And then we'll just go ahead and slice it up. We don't have to do a super crazy fine dice. It's all going to cook down. So slice, slice, slice all the way through. But we don't want it to be too thick because we don't want to end up with any massive pieces of chili. We just want it to basically melt into the rest of the sauce. I'm almost going for like a queso vibe, right? Chilies and cheddar cheese and milk and cream, keeping it really simple, but still really, really delicious. So all of that chili, nicely and beautifully chopped up. And everybody, I want you to pay attention to the sound. Listen to how the sound of the beef is changing. The music of cooking is essential. Just take a second and listen. We're approaching a sizzle again because we've begun to properly evaporate the liquid from the beef. This is where the actual browning occurs. The browning doesn't occur in the beginning, guys. The browning does not occur as soon as we hit the pan, except for superficially. It's the same exact idea with properly caramelizing vegetables. In order to get that crispy crust, in order to get it sizzling, we have to evaporate the liquid. And that is why people saying that you have to strain the fat out is bullshit. Because this is the stage where they strain it out and they lose all of the juices. They lose all of the juices and it's not actually browned. Guys, to brown your ground beef, it takes time. It takes time and it takes a little bit of patience. So, my chilies have all been chopped up. Let's go ahead and get that transferred to my little bowl, or my plate rather. Take it and just scoop it all up. Awesome. And then guys, we're also going to need plenty of garlic. Because guys, you can't have something like this without garlic, can you? And I do mean a lot of it. You can never have too much garlic. So, I'm going to go ahead and take out my favorite kitchen tool. As always, the handy dandy little garlic press. And we'll be going ahead and getting a bunch of cloves for today. There you go. And in fact, I think I'm going to use everything because we're still going to need about 2 cloves for the salad itself. And the rest of it is going to go towards this really delicious sauce that we're building. Okay, so these 2 cloves, once again, I'm just going to go ahead and save for the salad. Just set that behind me. And everybody, we want to make sure that we're babysitting the beef now because it is frying and it is caramelizing and it is turning nice and crispy and aromatic as well. This is where the beef becomes really, truly delicious, my friends. So stir it up and make sure that it's all spread out nice and flat. And we can even go ahead and have a little piece to taste. Also, thank you so much for the sub to Rainbow Lizard. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so everybody, garlic cloves. What do? We go ahead and we flatten it. And we flatten each and every single one of these, okay? Because the goal is to separate the skin from the rest of the garlic clove. We flatten it, and we flatten it, and we flatten it, using my bench scraper for each one. There you go. Okay, and now guys, let's go ahead and just pop these bad boys out of their skin. Just pop them out one by one. Come on, buddy, you can do this. You can go. I know you can. And it's still not doing it. If I had to rank all countries by their food, what are my S tier countries? Well, Wonder Woolly, I'm gonna say this to you. I don't actually really like thinking about food in that way. And the reason why is because there is no such thing as bad food. There's no such thing as bad cuisine. Even people can go like, oh, what about British food, right? But I truly do not believe in the existence of bad cuisine. Right? And so, I have my own personal favorites for whichever reason or another, but at the end of the day, there's no such thing as a bad one. Also, Canadian Panda, thank you so much for stopping. Thank you so much for the gifted sub, rather. But as for my favorite cuisines, I mean, I love Mexican food to death. Right? Mexican food is so regional, it is so beautiful, that surely has to be up there for me. right? I love legumes, I love beans, I love corn, right? So in terms of like my favorite cuisine, that's the one. But it's not like it's objectively a better cuisine. I just take a lot of inspiration from a lot of Mexican cooking techniques. So all of my garlic cloves have been properly peeled. I'm just gonna go ahead and slice off the butts in the meantime. Slice off the butts, get them out of here. Okay, and now everybody, I'm gonna say right now, that beef is now properly and beautifully ground. Okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for, guys. It's crispy, it's delicious, and now it is beginning to slightly stick to the pan because it could have probably been a little bit more on top of actually mixing it up a little bit, but that's okay. Everybody, the beef itself, it's crispy, it's delicious, it's ready to go for today. And so we will be going ahead and taking it off the pan at this moment. Okay, so I'm just lowering my heat really quickly. We've developed a bunch of fond on the bottom, okay, and I'm just using a slotted spoon to hopefully keep any fat in, but honestly, most of the fat has just ended up sticking to the beef itself. I don't think my beef was too fatty today. That's more than okay, everybody, I promise. So I'm just taking it and I'm spooning it all out. Spooning it out, and it's going back onto the same old contaminated plate, but that's okay, because this beef is still gonna get cooked down a little bit more. I just wanna taste it. Guys, that ground lamb and beef mixture, incredible. Ooh, guys, this food today, I think it's gonna be quite delicious. It's actually gonna be quite incredible. Okay, so we have a bunch of like little tiny chunks just like this, and it's all gonna get deglazed. All of that fond, all of those dissolved proteins on the bottom, it's all going to get dissolved into the final product. I'm just going to try and mechanically unstick a few of these with my wooden spoon, pop them out, and get them also onto the plate. But it's okay if there's a few little guys left over. It's not gonna be the end of the world, I promise. I just wanna get any massive chunks out. Okay. So the beef itself ended up taking a lot of fat with it. This ended up being a little bit more of a lean beef than usual. And that's totally okay. That just means we're going to need some more fat for the vegetables that we're about to add. Chef, have you had elk or venison before? I absolutely have. I've had venison, I've had elk, I've had basically every kind of meat, and they're all very delicious. They're all great. There's no such thing as a bad meat, other than like I've had bear meat once, and bear meat wasn't completely for me. Right, that one was like really, really intense and funky. Okay, and guys, we're going through this and we're going to add in a bunch of additional fat. Why am I using ghee? I'm using ghee because it's delicious. I'm using ghee because it's flavorful and a little bit nutty, but you can just use any fat that you would like for this, okay? So all of that ghee gonna go directly in, and we need this amount of fat. We need it to properly lubricate the pan, my friends. Okay, so all of that fat goes in, and let's just go ahead and melt it down properly. Just make sure that we have enough fat for my onion cooking. Lovely. So that fat is all ready to go, guys. And now the goal is to do the same exact thing to all of my lovely onions. The onions, they're also going to release their own liquid as they cook. And then once that liquid is released, they'll begin to properly cook once again in the fat. Once the onion releases its own liquid though, guys, that's when we also get to deglaze the pan. We get to dissolve all of those stuck proteins on the bottom, all of it back into the onions. The onions are wet, they have a lot of additional water weight. Excuse me, I got something stuck in my throat. And we're also gonna go ahead and season it with a little bit of salt to help facilitate it pulling out some moisture out of my onions. Okay, there you go. And now, my friends, you can see, look how wet the pan has become. We get to use this onion liquid and we get to scrape up the bottom of the pan. This is called deglazing, everybody. We're deglazing the bottom of the pan. We're unsticking any of the stuck proteins from the beef before, and we're making sure that all goes back into these onions properly. Okay? And we're mixing it back in, and we're having it stick to the onions instead of the pan, and that is all of that delicious beefy flavor, everybody. Yes, I put the cooked beef back onto the same plate because the cooked beef is just going to still be finished in the sauce. So it's not really contaminating it or anything because it's just going to get heated up and cooked through again. I didn't want to go and wash another plate, and so that's what I did instead. So it's more than sanitary. But of course, if it was going to be the final beef that was eaten, then in that case, That would, of course, just not be acceptable. Okay. I'm just making sure, guys, I'm using these onions, I'm using the onion juices to scrape up everything that has been stuck. And now, really slowly but surely cooking down these onions. Okay? But yeah, I just want to be more efficient with the pans and pots that I'm using. I'm tired of just like always making a big mess at the end of each show. And so this is part of my effort to do so. Okie dokie. So that's happening. Everybody, low, medium heat. The process of sauteing these onions is a process after all. It takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of love. But I promise you that you will also just end up getting there. Okay? There you go. That's it. That's a good boy. Okie dokie. We have to go ahead and continue working on the garlic in the meantime. Oh, excuse me. So all of my garlic, all the butts have been officially cut off. Let's go ahead and press out some garlic, my friends. Just getting all of my prep done, all of it ready to go. And then soon enough, we'll also add in the chilies so that those can get nice and browned as well. So all of my garlic, guys, press it because I hate chopping garlic. Chopping garlic is a waste of time. It is so much effort. I would much, much rather always just be using a garlic press. Ooh, my garlic press is not doing that well today. I think these garlic cloves are a little too small. Just press it until we obtain a bunch of beautifully minced up garlic. There it is. Nice and simple, nice and easy. He's tired, that's right, he's had a long day today. Okay, and pop him in. There you go. Take the last of it and just scrape it off. Beautiful. Have I ever tried haggis? I sure have, Wonder Willy, and it is lovely. I do quite enjoy haggis. I love offal. I just love, you know, like any offcuts of meat in general. But I love lungs and kidneys and liver especially. So I think haggis is quite lovely. Okay, let's go ahead and mix up the onions. Let's make sure that they're not sticking. Let's make sure that they're not burning to the bottom of the pan. Once again, everybody, only a low-medium heat. And we can see that nothing is stuck to the pan, that nothing is burning, nothing is scorching, and we have begun the low and slow process of properly caramelizing, of properly sauteing all of my beautiful onions. Whew, we have a lot of moving parts at the moment. I heard it was super hard to get in the U.S. No, there's a couple of restaurants that serve it. Not a lot or anything. I mean, I do live in New York, so I don't know about the rest of the United States, but definitely in New York, it was accessible for me. So, everybody, let's do a bit of a recap session. We're doing this delicious cheesy beef pasta dish, and we're also doing a basically like a southwestern black bean salad. At the moment, we browned up the beef. We're sauteing the onions in the beef and lamb fat, and then we'll be adding in chilies and garlic, adding in some cream, a splash of milk, and then whisking in some cheddar cheese, which we'll be grating up. We're marinating some red onions for the salad inside of some lime juice to kill the pungency, and we've also salted some tomatoes so that we can pull out all of that excess tomato liquid. Also, what happened with that other plate? That other plate ended up being okay. Thank you for asking about them. Okay, that all looks wonderful. That all looks lovely at the moment. There it is. Perfect. Okay, and so what else can we do in the meantime? Let's go ahead and inspect the tomatoes. If money wouldn't exist, what is something that you would do, chef? Oh, I don't know. Jack, I don't really know how to answer that question. So guys, look at my tomatoes. Look how much water has come out of the tomatoes. In fact, better yet, we're gonna go ahead and strain these tomatoes. I have my strainer all ready to go, and I want you to see the sheer amount of liquid that comes out of this. And this is what we do it for. We take the tomatoes, we dump it out. Everybody, look at all of that liquid that has come out that would otherwise make our salad soggy. Look at all of that tomato liquid. Let's go ahead, take it, and just dump it out. And we're gonna keep this thing straining for the next however long. Okay, that is why we go through this process. That is why we do this, just so that we do not end up with a soggy salad. We don't want a soggy salad, guys. We want it to be nice and crisp and everything beautifully dressed. And otherwise, all of that tomato liquid would have made everything bland. So, my onions have begun to properly get nice and golden brown, my friends. They're beginning to get there. And so, we're going to go in with my chilies. All of my green serranos that I've already chopped up, All of it's just gonna go directly inside, and we are beginning to really properly build the sauce. We'll be finishing it with the heavy cream, and we also have some other things that we need to get done in the meantime. So yeah, we're keeping it chill, everybody. We're keeping it steady. We're getting everything done. We're sauteing the chilies now alongside of all of my lovely red onion. And this is what's really going to make our sauce delicious and flavorful. And just once again, scraping down the sides and making sure nothing is stuck onto them. Beautiful. Okay? Yeah, Wonder Willy. Well, I'm glad that you were able to, I'm glad that you were able to appreciate that, yeah? So, carrot cube, you don't actually have to be that worried about the amount of salt in the tomatoes because most of that salt ends up dissipating in the liquid. So you saw the amount of tomatoes that I added and it looked like a lot. Well, it's not actually all that much because we do end up losing most of it. So I promise you those tomatoes aren't too salty. You can taste the tomato liquid. The tomato liquid itself, exceptionally salty, right? But then tomatoes themselves, they'll just be perfectly seasoned every single time. Okay, my chilies are going, my onions are going, my garlic is already all ready to go for today. I'm trying to think about what else I would want inside of this sauce. I don't actually immediately know at the moment. I feel like I wanted a broth, but I don't have any broth. That's okay, that happens. Right, that's not that big of an issue. Today's stream is just a really easy one, guys. Today's stream is a really chill one. There's nothing crazy for us to really worry about, So yeah. Does anybody have any questions for me in the meantime? So what do we need to do? What is my order of operations? After this is done sauteing, we're going to add in the garlic, and we're also going to properly fry the garlic. We'll add in some heavy cream, shred up the cheese. I think that should be our next step, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of that ready and set to go. And yeah. Chef, why do people say that musicians are great cooks? I play several instruments, but I don't see how any of it translates into cooking. I have an answer. Ooh, I have an answer for you, School of Rock and Roll. Here's my answer for you. I burped at like the worst possible time. Here's my answer for you. The process of, I think, learning how to cook and how to make music are actually incredibly, incredibly similar. And let me explain to you why. If you learned to make music through the process of understanding theory and through the process of understanding improvisation, you will begin to attain a natural curiosity through very similar cooking mechanisms and vice versa. So I have been cooking for a long time and I'm a little bit newer to music. Okay, so what I ended up doing was I thought about really basic concepts like, oh, you don't build up like chopping onions really fast without doing it slow first. So on a really basic level, you understand that tempo gets built up over time. So you can't really, really quickly chop an onion right from the get-go, and it's incredibly dangerous to do so, as well as creatively limiting in the future. You start off slow and then you build up speed over time, and I feel like between music and food, those are absolutely two essential interchangeable concepts. Another thing is, as a musician, you're asking yourself, well, why does this sound the way that it does? Why does this thing go into the other thing that it does, right? Why do these things work together? That natural process of learning all of the different fundamentals that go into music and into music making, so much of it, the creative process for learning it is so similar to food in my experience. So that would be my answer for you. What instrument do I play? I play the Iwi Jack, which is just an electronic wind instrument. But when I was younger, very briefly, I took piano classes and clarinet classes and guitar classes, and I hated all of it because I was forced to go as a kid. But the process of learning those things and asking yourselves questions, absolutely interchangeable between the two creative mediums. So, okay. My vegetables are going. Let's go ahead and shred some cheese while we still have a bit of a time. Okay, so big old block of cheddar cheese, my friends. How much am I going to be using? I don't know. Also, Spaceberry, you said my boyfriend does not like onions. What do I do about it? So, you need to first identify what is it that your boyfriend does not like about onions. Is it raw onions? Is it big pieces of onion? What about caramelized onions inside of a French onion soup? The question that you just gave me is innately incomplete. It's not that your boyfriend doesn't like onions altogether. Maybe your boyfriend likes granulated onions. Maybe your boyfriend likes pickled onions, right? There's so many different things that an onion can do that the first thing that you need to do is to identify what it is about the onion that he does not like. Is it the texture? Is it the taste? Is it the visual part of it? Okay? So that is the first thing that you need to figure out for yourself. And then I'll give you different answers depending on those, right? For example, if your boyfriend hates the sight of onions, well, cooking onions small into a sauce, right? If your boyfriend maybe doesn't like raw onions, consider pickled onions, right? Something like that. But you need to first help me help you. And in order to do that, I need to know what it is that your boyfriend does not like. Okay? So I'm taking this cheese, guys, and flat grater, okay? Just so that we can take it easily and scoop it onto the plate. Instead of having to transfer it over manually, it makes our lives nice and easy. If you could speak the language of the country and you could stay there, which country would I move to if I could? That's a really good question, Jack. Honestly, my first thought is France. I love France to death. I love France. I love it there. I really, really want to be there again sometime soon. So France is probably pretty high up on that list for me. Yeah, that'll be my answer for you. Otherwise, my answers are like either Turkey, Georgia, or China. Okay, guys, I don't know how much cheddar cheese I'm using. We're not measuring. We're cooking at home. And when you cook at home, measurements and such don't actually matter all that much, okay? So all that cheddar cheese has now been grated up. I don't know, maybe like roughly 1/3 of a pound, 1/4 of a pound, something like that. You can never have too much cheese. Okay, and there we go, tap, 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 tap. Let's get all of that cheese onto my plate here. Oh, there you go. Well, thank you, Carolyn. That's very sweet of you. Okay, everybody, my vegetables are now properly sauteed. They're nice and golden, and they're beautiful, and they're properly caramelized. And so, this is the stage where we will be adding in the garlic as well as the black pepper. We don't add in the garlic and the black pepper sooner because otherwise they would just end up burning instead. So all of this garlic, all of it goes in right now. All of it goes in, break it up, and just nicely and properly brown it. Okay, but not too brown. It can easily become bitter, it can easily become burnt tasting, and that is not what I am looking for. So take it and move it around. And yeah, guys, this is basically like a beef queso. That is essentially what we are making for this pasta today. It's onions and chilies and garlic, right, and meat. And so I don't think we can really go wrong with something like this. It's basic, but at the end of the day, it's still gonna be more than delicious. Take it and mix it around, because we don't want that garlic to burn. We just want it to be nice and golden brown and delicious, everybody. Oh, I got some vegetables that ended up falling out. That's okay. So, yeah, that's almost done. And then we'll just dump in some of the heavy cream. We'll dump in a little bit of milk as well. And then we'll begin making the cheese sauce, my friends. And we'll talk about all in just a moment's time. Okay, I'm gonna say that that has now been properly browned. Everybody lower that heat, and it is time for us to now go in with all of that heavy cream. I have all of this heavy cream that I wanted to use up for my sauce today. And then if we need it later on, we'll also go in with a little splash of milk as well. Okay, so take it and deglaze with the heavy cream, my friends. Nice low heat, deglaze with it, meaning we're taking it and we're scraping up anything that could be potentially stuck to the sides. Oh, shoot, I should have actually added my black pepper sooner, but that's okay. It'll just go in now, and I'll be perfect. There you go. And I'm also going to be adding back in all of my lovely beef. And we didn't add the beef in sooner because I didn't want it to overcook or anything. So the beef goes in, and I know this doesn't look too attractive yet, but it will, hopefully, with a little bit of time and a little bit of cheese. Oh yeah, guys, I think today's going to be a really short stream, relatively speaking. Yeah, today's is going to be really, really short. Wow. We're just blazing through everything that we need to do. Okay, so everybody, we're going to add in a little special ingredient. And this little special ingredient is a little something called sodium citrate. And I want to talk about it, and I want to talk about why we're using this ingredient. So, this is sodium citrate, everybody. This is an emulsifying salt. So what is sodium citrate and why are we using it? So, everybody, do you know how American cheese melts? I want to hear you, nice chef. Do you know how American cheese melts and it's perfect? But other kinds of cheeses, even things like cheddar or mozzarella or parmesan, you name it, whenever you try to go ahead and melt them, what ends up happening is they end up splitting. You sometimes get a grainy taste in your mouth, you have the separated proteins, you have the fat rising to the top. American cheese melts beautifully. Why? Because it has the presence of sodium citrate as well as a couple of other things inside of it. The sodium citrate essentially really inhibits the ability for the fats to separate from the proteins, and it allows your cheese sauce to be really homogeneous. It allows it to be beautifully homogeneous, it allows it to be creamy, it allows it to be cheesy without needing to necessarily compromise anything. Okay, so I'm gonna do roughly a quarter of a teaspoon, half a teaspoon's worth of sodium citrate. It's a little bit acidic as it sounds, it's a little bit salty as well. And this is going to be almost like a glue. It's going to really help to hold my lovely sauce together, okay? So yeah, again, this is basically a big glorified Hamburger Helper. That is what we are making today, okay? But it's still gonna be delicious and we're giving it a lot of love, my friends. Yeah. So let's go ahead and let's just mix in the sodium citrate. Make sure that it's all evenly mixed in. And then we're going to add in the cheese. And that's going to genuinely just be it for the sauce. Okay? Or rather just like the base for the rest of the pasta. Here you go. Everybody, it is now time for us to go ahead and add some cheese. I'll move this aside. I'm going to use a nice silicone spatula. And the reason why I'm using a silicone spatula is because it allows us to easily get up into the sides of the pan. And we're just going to add in it incrementally. Does anybody have any questions in the meantime? Today's stream is a little bit more all over the place than I was initially intending, but that's okay. We'll still get to the finish line. So cheese goes in and just mix it in. The cream is the medium that the cheese melts into. It's all going to get nice and gooey and delicious. Just mix it in, everybody. Mix it in. Scrape off the sides. Mix it in, and it's gonna get thick, and it's gonna get rich, and I think I'm gonna need to add a splash of milk at some point, just to help thin this out a little tiny bit. And mix it in. Mix it in, mix it in, mix it in, everybody. Fold it in, and that's all that we're doing right now. Is there a pro to using cheddar cheese instead of other soft cheeses? Well, Jack, the reason I'm using cheddar cheese specifically is because I'm just trying to evoke the taste of a cheeseburger. Otherwise, it's just a good soft melting cheese. You can use Monterey Jack, you can use Pepper Jack. Honestly, any cheese, as long as it's not too wet and it's not too dry and fermented, will be perfect for this kind of a use case. Okay? So guys, take a look at this thick, cheesy sauce that we are slowly building here. It is just meat, and it is cheese, and it's onions and chilies. So you know that this cannot be wrong at all. Right? And finally, all of that rest of the cheese, it all goes in, and it all melts in. There it is. And I do believe that we're going to need a splash of milk just to be able to help thin this out a little bit. Nice low, medium heat, everybody. So yeah, is this that impressive? Not particularly. Is it that much of a sauce? Not really. This is just going to be a really thick, rich, meaty dish, except it's just a little bit more elevated than something like Hamburger Helper. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and give this bad boy a taste. Oh. Guys, that's really good. That is astoundingly good. It's meat, and it's cheese, and it's cream, and then we're also doing a little splash of milk with garlic and chilies. So you guys know that this cannot taste bad. It's incredible. It is so simple, but it is so delicious, and it is so satisfying. And all I'm going to do, guys, this doesn't really need additional cook time or anything. I want to just go ahead and turn off the heat now because we have to do some of the stuff for the salad, and then we'll just be adding the pasta into this whenever that's ready. Okay? But guys, that's it. That's all that there really is to something like this. It's really simple, but it's really delicious above all else. Is it the world's healthiest dish? No. But everything is healthy in moderation. Okay. So, we have officially finished making the meat sauce for today, everybody. Also, thank you so much for the sub to, let's see who it's going to be. I didn't actually get the pop-up of the name yet for some reason. Thank you to I'm a Tiny Submarine for the sub. It's lovely to have you. It's really appreciated. Everybody, we have to finish making the salad. We have to cook the pasta as well. We still have a little bit of work coming up ahead of us. Is everybody ready? I would love to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, please, and thank you. Okay, and I'll just set that bad boy behind me. And I do want to taste the cheese sauce one more time. It is essentially just one big queso dip, right? That is what I'm combining with the pasta. And that, guys, it's so good. That is so good. That just tastes like a cheeseburger. And that's exactly what I wanted. It tastes like a chopped cheese. That is lovely. Okay, I know I keep going on and on about it, but food doesn't have to be elaborate. Food doesn't have to be a million fancy ingredients. Food can still be delicious without needing to use things like Hamburger Helper. This is just beef and cheese and onions and cream and a little bit of milk with some chilies and garlic. And it tastes phenomenal at the moment, okay? I have some leftover shredded cheese that I'm gonna go ahead and snack on. Just because I can and I have a moment's time. Everybody, let's finish making the salad for today. That's what we got left on our agenda. So, my tomatoes have been properly soaking, right? As you can tell, they've been straining out. We've strained out all of the excess liquid from it. And also, everybody, if you'd like to support the cooking show, !Patreon, really nice way of directly supporting what we do here. We have my onions that have been soaking with the lime juice to kill all of that excess pungency. We'll be using that lime juice in actually making the salad dressing itself. But right now, we have a couple of other things that we need to prep. First and foremost, we got a bell pepper. Everybody, I'm gonna show you the best way to get a bell pepper prepped and ready to go. Okay? Super simple, super easy. All that we need to do is shave the sides. I don't want you to go in there and dig it out. Just take it like this, nice and flat. Take it and shave off the sides. Take it and shave off the sides. This way, we keep all of the seeds inside and we get all of the flesh ready to go. Look at that, ready to be thrown out. And now let's go ahead and get a lovely dice for today's salad, guys. So take it and dice it, or first cut into batons. First into batons, 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 batons. They shouldn't eat more than 45 grams a day. Jack, no, I haven't seen it, and I don't think I'm particularly that interested in what the FDA has to say about food. Right? I mean, I'm sure it's good advice, but no, I haven't seen it. Okay, so take it and we cut it into all of these lovely little batons. That's right. And let's go ahead and dice this. Let's take it and dice it, everybody. Once again, we're trying to match the size of the onions. We're trying to chop it into the same exact size as the tomatoes. Take a little stack of bell peppers. Take a little stack, and get that lovely dice that we want for that salad. Okay? And dice it, and dice it, and dice it, and dice it. Did I first say your name is Serena Cheese? Or are you just memeing? I don't know if I actually did that. Okay, and dice it, and dice it, and dice it, and dice it, and dice it. Nice and easy. Keeping everything really, really simple for today. And dice it. But yeah, this kind of a pasta dish, guys, it's cheap, it's delicious, it's easy to make. It doesn't take any fancy techniques whatsoever. Right? It's filling, it's exactly what you want. Above all else, at the end of the day, it's comfort food. It is cheese, and it's meat, and it's gonna be pasta, garlic and chilies, and you really can't go wrong with that. That is perfectly okay in my book. So all of my bell peppers, all of it chopped, all of it prepped. Excellent. There you go. Nice sweet bell peppers, everybody. And ideally, you can use orange bell peppers, you can use red bell peppers. The only ones I wouldn't use would be green ones, because green bell peppers, they don't tend to be as sweet. Okay? Lovely. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take that and put that into a separate little bowl. Or a separate little plate for now. And this is where I'm going to be slowly assembling all of my salad components. So there's that. I'm gonna go ahead and take my tomatoes and also put them in there. Excellent. So my tomatoes, my bell peppers are already all ready to go for today. I'm going to need to strain out the onions as well. And this part is super, super important, guys. We need to get all of that lime juice out because we're going to be using it to make the salad dressing for today. So let's take it and let's dump all of the onions into this little strainer that I have here. And I'm going to go ahead and scoop out the rest of it. And all of this lime juice is going to be used towards the final salad dressing, of course. There she is. There you go. Does anybody have any questions for me in the meantime? My pot of water does seem to be boiling. So, everybody, I do believe it's time for us to cook the pasta. Let's go ahead and get that done now. Let's head back to the stove. I'm just gonna switch where each of these guys live, just so that you guys can have nice, easy access to the pot of boiling water and the subsequent pasta. Okay? Nice, aggressively boiling water. So everybody, we need to really, really generously season this water. Why? Well, a lot of the salt will end up just dissipating into the water itself. Very little of it will ever actually end up penetrating the pasta. You need to heavily over-season your water to ensure that your pasta has a chance of having some of the salt penetrated. You could season it after it's done cooking. However, the difference is the salt isn't actually penetrated and it's only superficial. Okay? So, at the moment, I have however much rigatoni this is. I don't actually really know. Okay, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna just dump it inside. All of it, the rest of this box, whatever it is that I had left, because my goal was to just use up this old pasta that I had sitting in my pantry. So, how do we stop the pasta from sticking to itself? We stir it. We stir it basically immediately as it goes in. Because if you do not and you leave it unattended, it will naturally just start sticking to itself. So, this pasta roughly is gonna take maybe 10 minutes, 8 minutes. We're gonna cook it nice and al dente, nice and firm, and then finish cooking it inside of the sauce. Whew. We still got some work ahead of us, don't we? Is everybody still watching? I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, please and thank you. Pasta's going, sauce is done. Let's continue making all the stuff for our salad today. Okay, so my onions, we have taken out all of that lime juice, which will be used towards the dressing. Okay, just making sure I'm getting rid of almost all of it. And then I'll be taking it and just plopping it also onto the rest of the salad plate. There you go. Awesome. Just throw that into my sink. Wash out this bowl. That's where we will be mixing the salad in after everything has all been said and done. I'm going to mix my pasta to stop it from sticking. Okay, and everybody, let's go ahead and prepare the salad dressing for today. The salad dressing for today is actually going to be a really, really exciting one. We're going to be doing essentially a Chipotle dressing. It's going to be Chipotles and it's going to be lime juice and it's going to be super aromatic and super delicious. I'm going to go ahead and get my blender cup ready to be able to build said dressing. Okay, and I don't actually know where my blending attachment is. Oh no, not again. This can't be happening to me. Everybody, I don't know where the blender part of my blender is. Oh, it's over. Is it over? Who keeps moving it? Who keeps moving the thing that I use all the time? This is why I should have, aha, I found it. Somehow I managed to get my hands on it. Okay, everybody, lime juice directly inside. Okay, the lime juice is also going to do another function for us. Remember how I said the acidity kills the pungency? That also applies to garlic, my friends. So we're gonna take this garlic and we're also gonna peel it up, but by blending the garlic in with the lime juice, we're actually going to prevent it from being too pungent, to make it too garlicky. I don't want my salad to be overpowering in that way, okay? So take it, take off the skin, peeling it up really nicely. And I'm just gonna go ahead and cut the butts out, but we're not chopping it. We're not crushing it. By blending it with the lime juice, we're going to get a lot of the sweet garlic flavor instead of a lot of the pungent ones. And that goes directly inside, my friends. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stir up my pasta. Still a few more minutes on it for sure. Then, what else am I gonna need for the salad dressing, everybody? We're gonna need some chipotles. Some chipotles in adobo sauce. This is the real special ingredient of the salad dressing. The chipotles are gonna add fruitiness. They're gonna add smokiness. This is the best part. I love working with canned chipotles. I love them to death, okay? They're packed in adobo sauce, which is essentially just like a vinegar-based sauce, and we're going to add in as many as you would like. But honestly, for me, I'm doing at least minimum of 2, upwards of 3 chipotles as is. Well, yes, it is a food branch, but it's named after the chili. It's a smoked and dried chili, and this one has been reconstituted in something called an adobo sauce. And so it's smoky, it's lovely, it's aromatic, it's delicious. We gotta go ahead and add in a nice pinch of salt directly inside, just to make sure that all my veggies get nicely seasoned. We have to add in a bunch of black pepper as well, everybody. Get it all inside, get it all inside. Excellent. Okay. We will also need, on top of all of that, my friends, we're going to need a little bit of mustard. This mustard is just going to really help bind the salad dressing and give it some really good viscosity and stop it from just really, separating too much. So a little bit of mustard goes a long way, and I do mean a little bit. That is maybe like half a teaspoon's worth of mustard. And there's no such thing as stupid questions. Not at all, Shy Chica. Not in the slightest. Okay, and then we'll be blending it up, and then we'll blend it up with some olive oil. It'll be perfect. But yes, there's absolutely no such thing as a bad question on the show, because my goal is to help you guys cook at home. So let's go back to the stove, and now we're gonna check out the pasta. I want my pasta to be almost cooked through, maybe about 80 to 90%. We still want some nice bite to it. A little too much bite at the moment, but it's getting there. This takes a little bit of time. Hi. Guys, we have just been non-stop moving around. Chef, what's a food branch? Well, I think that was more so like Jack's phrasing of it, but like a branch of like a franchise, right? So like Chipotle, chain restaurants, that would be like a branch of those. Right. I hope that answers your question. No such thing as a bad question. I think the terminology there was innately a little bit confusing, right? So you're okay. Hi. How we doing? Hope you're all doing good. We've been moving around. The stream is a little bit crazier than usual today because we just have so much stuff that was like constantly going on. But right now, all I'm waiting for is just my pasta to be done. We'll mix it with the sauce. We'll finish it up and it will be delicious. Okay, the pasta is nice and seasoned because we heavily, heavily seasoned that cooking liquid. So it's just going. Still needs a couple more minutes. And we're gonna have a meal. Oh, we're gonna be eating today. Okay, let's continue doing some salad prep while that's cooking. Everybody, I have another chili. I want a super, super fine dice on this chili, okay? Because I don't want to bite into massive chunks of serrano throughout the salad. So I'm taking it and I'm cutting it into quarters. I don't want it to be overpoweringly spicy. I just want little bits of spice throughout. And so super, super, super fine dice, my friends. Paper thin all the way through. Just like that. So that these chilies basically just melt into the salad. We'll make it all nice and delicious. And we are missing one last component, which is the cilantro, which we will get to in just a moment's time. We'll make the pasta, we'll make the dressing, we'll do the cilantro for the salad, and then everybody will be ready to eat. Okay, so again, really, really fine dice on all these different vegetables. All of that is going to be added alongside the rest of my salad components. We'll be tossing and mixing it all into a bowl, of course, at the end of it. The best way to test when the pasta is done is by tasting it. I don't think anybody genuinely in good faith actually throws pasta on the wall to keep it, to see if it sticks. Did I keep the seeds? Yes, I did, Suiman. I did because I want all of that heat from the serranos. I want my salad to be nice and spicy, but that is entirely up to you. If you want, you can take out the seeds, but you do not have to. Okay, everybody, this pasta is going to need about 30 more seconds, and then I will be confident enough to just pull it out and have it combined with all of that sauce. Another 30 seconds, and it'll be all good to go. So, what is the tool that we will be using to transfer the pasta over? We'll be using something called a spider. We don't have to go into the sink with a strainer. We don't have to set up a colander. We'll just be using a spider to gently and easily scoop everything out. So off it all comes onto the pan, and we're intentionally, we're not straining out all of the liquid. We need some of the liquid to thin out the pasta sauce, and then the starch is going to really help it to adhere together. So we don't strain it completely. We let some of that water intentionally drip into the pasta. We let it drip in, or into the sauce, We let it drip in. Awesome. And now we can go ahead and do away with it. Everybody, the pasta has been cooked. Let's go ahead and now combine it all with that lovely sauce that we have worked so hard to build and develop and create together. Let's just mix it up. Just mix it up. And we want to get the sauce into all of the crevices of the rigatoni. That is what the rigatoni is for. That is why I've chosen this specific pasta. It's got a big hole running right down the middle of it, and all we need to do now is just mix it up. Just mix it and mix it and mix it and mix it until it's all nice and combined. Oh, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? It's very comforting. This is home food. It's cheap, it's easy to do, it's incredibly delicious, but above all else, it's home cooking. Take it and mix it around, and mix it around, and mix it around. Get all of the sauce into every single little crevice of the pasta. Do not leave any pasta unmixed, my friends. Oh, guys, that's good. That is too good for what that is. That is way too delicious. Ooh, I'm gonna have another bite of that actually. Guys, that is so good. That is so delicious. Ooh, it's cheesy and it's creamy and it's melty. And the pasta is still perfectly al dente. Nothing is overcooked. Nothing is mushy. Oh. That's really good. That's so good. Everybody, it is time for us to now officially shut off the heat. But not before I have another bite. Oh, that is so good. That is so rich. That is so decadent. The pasta is officially completed. Let's go ahead and take this off the heat. Let's make the salad dressing, everybody. Okay? So, I'm going to get my station all ready to go. Just a nice little flat surface for this to go on. Basically a little coaster. So, inside of here, lime juice, mustard, salt, pepper, garlic, and chipotles. We're going to blend it up, and this is going to be the basis for my salad dressing today. And it's not plugged in. That was incredibly anticlimactic. So let's do that again, except this time plugged in. Take it and blend. And there we go. Blend it up, blend it up, blend it up, blend it up. Blend it up, blend it up, blend it up. Keep blending, keep blending, keep blending, keep blending, keep blending. Get all those little chunks blended out, my friends. Stop the blending process. Stop it. Shake it up a little bit just to make sure everything is evenly being combined. Okay? And one more blend. Feed it back in. Feed it back in. Woo. And now, everybody, last but not least, we'll be adding in some oil. We don't add the oil immediately, and I'm going to explain to you why. If you overblend the oil by itself, the olive oil can end up turning bitter. Olive oil has a lot of really delicious aromatic compounds inside, but overly agitating it causes it to almost split and separate. So I'm adding in a bunch of olive oil to be able to build this dressing up beautifully now. Okay? It goes in. We cover it up, but we gently blend it together until it's all combined. The mustard is going to really, really help to emulsify it, right? It's going to help keep it all together. It's going to be lovely and delicious. Just enough. Just enough. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And stop, everybody. That should be, in theory, enough blending for my salad dressing today. That's it. That's all that it needs. That is perfect. That is all ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my little coaster plate. That has done a wonderful job for us today. Ooh, today's stream is so much like active stuff. We have like so many different individual tasks to get done together. Okay, let's go ahead and see how the salad dressing came out. Let's give it a little taste, see if it needs anything else. We want to be nice and seasoned. We want to be nice and acidic. Okay, we want to be nice and flavorful, nice and spicy from the Chipotles as well. Hi, Salty. Welcome on in. So here's my dressing. Here's my Chipotle dressing. Phenomenal, delicious, acidic, spicy, garlicky, mustardy. This has everything that you could possibly want inside. That is a lovely dressing. Oh, that's good. That's delicious. Okay, we're almost done. The last thing that we have to do is just get our cilantro. And then we'll mix the salad, we'll combine it all, and we'll call it a day. So, I have here a big bunch of fresh cilantro, and it wouldn't be a Southwestern salad without some cilantro. Okay, we're not gonna need a crazy amount or anything. And as always, everybody, I'm going to be plucking off the leaves because the stems are a little too woody and too fibrous and I don't like their texture. You can choose to keep the stems intact if you would like. That is entirely up to you. Me personally, though, I'm plucking it. I'm plucking it and I'm getting rid of it. I'm going to pluck it until we get nothing but leaves. And we're almost done, everybody. All we have to do now is slice it, make the salad, taste it, season it, and that'll be it. Get them. Just keep plucking it. Keep plucking it, everybody. A bunch of lovely fresh cilantro that I just bought the other day. Keep plucking and plucking and plucking. Keep it going. Yeah. Again, it's entirely up to you. It's entirely up to you and your own preference of if you would like to even go through this effort for the cilantro or not. But it is essential for this sort of style of salad that I'm going for. Okay, all of the leaves, awesome. Gonna get the last of the stems. Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and slice the cilantro. We're not chopping it, we're not crushing it. I'm gonna need to hear a nice yes, chef. We only exclusively slice it, and these are not interchangeable terms. A chop is a vertical force down with a knife. A guillotine is a chop. This is an elegant slice. If we chop it, we crush it, and we cause it to bleed and turn brown and oxidize. We damage so many more of the cells. We use the full length of the knife after we bundled it up, and we slice it, everybody, with minimal force. Minimal force, minimal force. Just take your knife and drag it through. Take it and drag it through until you are left with this lovely pile of fresh cilantro that has been perfectly sliced. And you can see it's not turning brown. It's not bleeding all over the cutting board. It has not turned limp and flaccid and devoid of all of its freshness because we didn't crush it. All that we did was we gently sliced it. Also, Aoki, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. It's mesmerizing. Well, I'm glad to provide. It is time for us to combine the salad. The cutting board has finished its job for us today. I'm gonna go ahead and take it out of here, get it out of here and out of sight and out of mind. I'm gonna wipe off the station. It's 4 letters. I don't think that was, too challenging. Okay? I want to make everybody feel welcome and included. That is my ultimate goal here. And so everybody, into this bowl, onions, tomatoes, bell peppers, everything that you could possibly want in this gorgeous salad. My bell peppers, my red onions that have been soaked in lime juice, my perfectly salted tomatoes. And now, in goes basically half of the volume of the salad, basically the black beans. All of it goes in. We gotta dump in the dressing, guys, and we just gotta mix it all up. And we gotta taste for seasoning, taste for salt, see if this is gonna need anything else. Okay, let's take it and let's get all of that lovely salad dressing that we worked so hard to make ourselves. All of it goes in. It's got so much flavor. It's smoky and it's spicy, right? It's nice and acidic from all of that lime juice. And now, my friends, we will combine the salad. This is the salad that I was going for, and I'm quite pleased with how it's coming out. Properly dressed, and it's not going to turn soggy. We got rid of the majority of the moisture by previously salting up those tomatoes. So it's not going to be soggy, it's not going to be wet, it's not going to be bland, it's just going to be perfectly dressed. Look at this salad, everybody. So break it up, make sure that you have no clusters of anything. Just make sure it's all nicely and evenly combined. And now we will go ahead and taste it all through some seasoning. We're looking for the salt, we're looking for the acid. We want to make sure that all of those components are in place. But guys, look at this thing. Ooh. And now let's go have a big bite. We need a little bit more salt. A little bit more, and then that will be perfect. So a little bit more all the way around. It's a really big salad, so just really want to make sure it's thoroughly seasoned. Okay? So take it and toss it. And mix it. And mix it until it's all properly combined. Look at the salad. Look at her go. Oh, okay. Delicious now, perfect. Does not need anything else. Everybody, I believe that it's going to be time for us to plate. It is time for us to plate. It is time for us to enjoy the fruits of our labor, and it is time for us to eat. So is everybody ready? I'm going to need to hear one last yes, chef, please, and thank you. So here's what we got to do. Let's go ahead and grab a nice big bowl for my pasta. And let's load it up with this little guy. Cheesy and melty and beefy and absolutely loaded with pasta. Perfect. I want a nice big generous portion for myself. There it is. And then last but not least, everybody, we're gonna do some of my salad. Something nice and fresh, something nice and bright and acidic and spicy to go along with this. There we go. I'll grab a fork and then we will dig in. Everybody, I'm proud to announce that we're all done for today. That is it. We have gone through everything that we needed to do. So this is just, what's the pasta name? The shape is a rigatoni mezzi. What it is a fancier Hamburger Helper, basically. Let's go through and let's talk about everything that we've done. We'll start with the salad. We took tomatoes and we salted it so that we can go ahead and get out all of the excess liquid. We took some onions and we sliced it and we covered it with lime juice so that we could kill the pungency. We sliced bell pepper, we sliced in some serrano chilies, some garlic, and some cilantro. We made a salad dressing out of chipotles, the previous lime juice, a little bit of mustard, some salt, some pepper, some garlic, okay, and then some olive oil. We took it, we mixed it all up, and then we have this beautiful vegetable salad with some black beans. It's simple, it's delicious, it's perfectly seasoned, it's sweet. That is a lovely salad. And then the star of the show, which doesn't look all that assuming, but it's delicious. It is pasta, it's ground lamb and beef, it's a bunch of cheddar cheese, it has chilies, onions, and garlic as well, with some rigatoni. And the point of it was to use up my leftover heavy cream and my leftover pasta. And I did both. Let's have a little bite. It's good. That's really good. This is the exact vibe I was going for, which is I wanted something that tasted like a cheeseburger. And it's exactly that. It tastes exactly what you think it does. It tastes exactly how you think it does. Excuse me. That is lovely. Yeah, it's great. Oh, that is good. That's so good, especially with the salad. That's delicious. Okay. Everybody, I think that's going to be it for today. I think that's going to be everything. Whew. That was a little spicy. Yeah, the serranos, kind of intense at the moment. Everybody, that was the cooking show for today. I'm sorry that it was so brief, excuse me. Yeah, we did the pasta, we did the salad. Next stream is going to be this upcoming Wednesday. As always, 5 p.m. EDT every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday on twitch.tv/Daramgar TV, no longer Daramgar. For those of you that haven't already checked out my Patreon, please do so. ! Patreon, that's the best way to directly support the show. My goal is to be able to do this full time one day, and so any and all support there is really appreciated. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to see you all in 3 days' time, this Wednesday. Also, Aoki, thank you for stopping by. It was lovely to have you. Thank you, thank you. Have a good night. Be safe, be well. Good luck with this upcoming week, and I will see you all next time.